Welcome back, it's me Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are looking at this Gunslinger Spawn. And this is from McFarlane Toys, as we see up here. So as of this recording, it's September 25th, 2021. I recently picked up this figure maybe like 3 or 4 days ago. I picked it up at one of my local Targets. I believe the price I paid for it might have been, I want to say it was $19.99, I think. So when I saw it on the shelves, I got really excited. I grew up on Spawn. I was in high school when Spawn came out. And I have such fond memories of McFarlane Toys way back when the company first got started, and it was known as Todd Toys. And I remember getting some of the figures from the first wave, and my love for McFarlane Toys just kind of grew from there. So for me to see them revisiting, the actual Spawn line of characters, for me it's really exciting. And Gunslinger Spawn, he continues the tradition of the different iterations of the Spawn character. For many long-time fans, they'll remember characters like Viking Spawn, Commando Spawn, Samurai Spawn. It's almost akin to the different variations of the Batman action figures. But I think the difference is that these Spawn characters actually have had appearances in various comic books over time. Gunslinger Spawn looks really cool. I dig the long top hat, the trench coat. I mean, there's so many cool elements about him that just look really amazing. Alright, so let's get started with this. So package-wise, this really caught my eye. Unlike a lot of the other McFarlane toys, like the DC Multiverse and Warhammer, and some of the other stuff, this packaging is a little bit more brightly colored. The box is kind of it's an off-white in some places, kind of like a cream white, and it kind of in the background it kind of has that putrid Spawn green color in the background. So this is a very eye-catching box on the shelves. I love how the accessories surround the character, and with the window here, you kind of really see all the accessories you're getting with this figure, and it's cool. You're getting a long rifle, 2 pistols. He has a case for his rifle, and if you look closely in the back, there's even an action figure stand, which is nice. The side of the package, there's a close-up portrait of the action figure. So we have Gunslinger Spawn. On the side, we have a beautiful illustration of Spawn. Now, this looks like this might actually be Todd McFarlane artwork. And that's a great, great drawing. Okay, the back. This is now for me, I talk about the back of packages all the time. I think this is a crime. There's so much unused real estate here. So much great opportunity to elaborate on the character, the universe, and all we get is a giant photograph of the figure, which is kind of pointless because we have the figure right here and displayed in the window, so it's redundant. And they let us know that there's 22 parts of articulation, which is nice. But yeah, I'd really appreciate it if they gave us a bio on the character, maybe describe the world that Gunslinger Spawn exists in. Maybe provide some samples of the comic book, stuff like that. Because even on the front of the comic, it says, it's from the record-breaking comic. But with the exception of the illustration here, there's nothing really here that informs you of the comic book, which I think is kind of like a crime. But it is what it is. Okay, let's take a look at this figure up close. Let's get it opened up. Alright, this box is being a little bit stubborn. Doesn't want to open. right, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to leave the action figure stand in the box for now. But as you can see, the stand has the Spawn logo printed on it. Looks really nice. Now, first impressions of the action figure while it's in the tray. Awesome. This is such an amazing looking figure. I mean, it's so awesome that they're bringing back all these Spawn characters like Clown and Violator. I think they're also bringing back Redeemer. I think that might be one of the new figures also. And then there was the crowdfunded Spawn figure that we got. So yeah, it's almost kind of like this weird revitalization or like second coming of Spawn. It's almost like a Spawn renaissance. And this figure, man, it does not disappoint at all. I mean, the sculpting looks superb. The detail's amazing. Okay, so let's take a look at Spawn and get him out of the package. Alright, there's a lot of ties holding him down by the arms. And there's also some at the ankles. Alright, so we have Spawn here. Alright, so Gunslinger Spawn is looking really amazing right now. This is a fantastic action figure. I am so impressed with this. This is easily, I think, one of the best action figures, at least visually, that I've reviewed maybe over the last 6 months. I don't know. Everything about this figure is just so impressive. The amount of detail. I'm kind of a little hesitant on the articulation. It looks like a lot of the articulation is there, but I'm not sure necessarily how posable it's going to be. You know, like I've said before, just because an action figure might have a lot of articulation, it doesn't always necessarily mean the range of movement's going to be there or the posability. But yeah, this is such a beautiful design. All right, I'm going to take some of these weapons out. I might not take out everything. At the very least, I want to take out the pistols. Yeah, so he has pistols. He has holsters for them. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, one thing I do have a minor nitpick about is that, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the hat comes off, which is unfortunate. I would love it if the hat came off and you just had a plain Spawn head, but that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy up close. So yeah, it's a beautiful detailed figure. Just look at that, all the little tiny spikes on his forearm. There's such an amazing just look at the texture on his coat. It like emulates like a leather texture. It's amazing. Really, really impressive. I love, there's all the little tiny folds and wrinkles in the coat. It's so realistic. It's so well done. I love this design so much because like the red long coat really reminds me of the video game character Dante from the video game Devil May Cry. And then the crazy long top hat, it kind of reminds me of is it Slash from Guns N' Roses? And then underneath his coat kind of has his trademark Spawn suit, you know, with the white trim, and then he has kind of like the skull chain. Yeah, the face is very much like Spawn. He has the putrid green eyes. Yeah, this is an amazing figure. I can't stress enough how, you know, how amazingly detailed this figure is. Now, the one thing I always enjoyed about the Spawn line of action figures is that, you know, there's so many different iterations of Spawn, and each one looks very unique than the other. You know, like there's Commando Spawn, with all his tactical gear. They always give him a lot of, like an abundance of like firearms and weaponry. You know, there's Viking Spawn. He's sometimes covered in like fur. I think like the Viking helm with the horns. Samurai Spawn looks really cool, especially with the armor. The Medieval Spawn, that was like one of the early Spawn figures that was released, I think, with Wave 1. Way back in the day. So it's really cool that, you know, with the release of Gunslinger Spawn, it kind of carries on that tradition of the different looks and appearances of the Spawn character. Now, in terms of articulation, this guy's head looks like it rotates and can look up and down. It doesn't look back as much as I'd like. I think it's partially hindered by the lapel of his coat. I think that's it. Either that or the joint just doesn't go back that far. Or it could just be the back of his head. Yeah, it looks like it's the back of his head. So he's not going to look up as high as I'd want him to. But he could look down. So, you know, if you want him brooding, you can look left and right. Now, as much as I love how the coat's sculpted dynamically and it looks like it's kind of flowing in the wind, it looks amazing, but at the same time, if you want to get the character in a specific pose, you know, like if you want him to look towards his right, this is going to get in the way. But I think that's a compromise I could live with. In terms of his arms, I think he has an inner, it looks like he might have an inside butterfly joint. I think that's what I'm seeing right there. But regardless of that, his arms could rotate up and down. He could go out. He does have a bicep swivel right above that collar right here. So there's a bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. So he has that going for him. And I can't stress how awesome this crazy gauntlet is. There's all these tiny little spikes on it. And it's just so incredibly detailed. And then he has a trigger finger here. His wrist articulation, looks like I'm not sure if it bends, but at least rotates. Let me see what the other hand. Yeah, the other hand rotates. I can't tell if it actually has joints in it, but it will rotate at the very least. In terms of his torso, it looks like he has an ab crunch. So he could crunch forward. I think it's about there. It's not a whole lot forward, and it's not a whole lot back, but he does have movement in his waist where it's not just a waist swivel, but it looks like his waist he could crunch at the waist, which moves a lot forward than up here, and then he can move back, pretty far back. So yeah, even though his mid torso crunch is kind of limited, the lower torso crunch near the waist allows for a little bit more, you know, extension, so he can really get in there. I love his belt with all the bullets lined up. Really awesome. It's such a sharply detailed figure. Like all the cuts, it's very high definition. There's a lot of nice subtle texture to it. Really well sculpted. These holsters are great. I love it when a toy comes with you know, weapons, and you can actually store the weapons onto the figure itself. So it's nice that he has these holsters, In addition to that, you know, there's actually even storage for his rifle here. And much like other characters designed in the 90s and early 2000s, he has all these excessive pouches around his leg and thigh. Let's get that into focus. Will you focus? There you go. So yeah, you see he has all these pouches. Unfortunately, there's a knife here, but it's just a sculpted detail. It's not removable from the sheath, which is, you know, that's too bad. If you look at his pants, incredible detailing with the wrinkles and folds and the texture. It looks like he could kick up, not so high, and he could kick out. And it looks like the his lower torso around the crotch might be, yeah, it's made of that like rubbery soft plastic. It's almost like a diaper. You know, like the G.I. Joe Classified series have a design like this. It's not seamless, but it, you know, it's close enough. He has a, does he have a thigh cut? I don't think he has a thigh cut, but he does have some swivel movement in his legs. His knees, as you can see both pins, so they're double jointed. And he does have ankle articulation, but it's slightly hindered by the front of the boot cover here. And it's cool that his boots have spurs on it, nice and sharp. Yeah, this is an amazing figure. Definitely one of the best figures I've reviewed the last 6 months. Yeah, like, so I passed up on the crowdfunded Spawn figure. For me, it's like, I have the original Spawn figure, the original first release, and even though it's outdated, I mean, that figure came out in 1994. You know, I didn't really feel the need to get that crowdfunded Spawn figure, but I don't know, this one is a different story. Just because I love the design of the character so much. Like, part of me wants a second one of these, just so I could customize it, swap out the head, and then create the character Dante from the video game Devil May Cry. But yeah, this figure, I mean, if you see this on the shelves, definitely pick it up. It's, you know, you don't want to pass up on this figure. You know, it might not necessarily be the iconic Spawn that everyone's familiar with, but, you know, it's still a really cool version of Spawn. You know, it's Gunslinger Spawn. He kind of has a, you know, he has a very definite Western vibe to him. You know, this is the kind of Spawn that you're going to see at like a crazy like shootout. Yeah, very impressed. Okay, so if I had to rate this figure numerically on a scale of 1 to 10, all right, I'm going to be very generous today. I'm going to say a 9.5. Now, in terms of the articulation, it has a lot of the articulation that you expect from a Spawn figure. A lot of the articulation that's up to date with the modern, you know, engineering that we see in other lines like Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series. But the articulation, you know, just because it's there, the range of movement, in some cases might be a little limited, like the legs. But I could be very forgiving and look beyond that. This figure, I mean, it's a great display piece. I think it'd be wonderful for fig photography just because it looks so dynamic as is. You know, if you put this on your shelf, this is definitely an eye catcher. So yeah, you know, kudos to McFarlane Toys and, you know, the designers who put this thing together. You know, I think this is an amazing work of art, and I can't speak, you know, I can't give this figure enough praise. It's really that good. You know, makes I kind of passed up on a couple of the new Spawn figures that were released. I saw Violator at the store, and I kind of passed up on him just because he was a little bit bulky and too muscular. You know, because in my head, I'm very married to the original design, where he was a lot more skinnier and lankier, especially in the limbs. But for Gunslinger Spawn, it's kind of like this modern interpretation of him. It's, for me, it's just so spot on. It looks really cool. And I'm really hoping that we get a repaint out of this. And if not a repaint, you know, I'd love to see some of this reused or even, you know, customized. Like, I'd love to get like 2 more copies of this, one to make Dante and this one to like just play around with and make some crazy custom, because I love this coat, and I think the coat would even look like super bad if you cut it. So it was almost like a short leather coat. You know, that looks sick. So, man, this is a really cool toy. Yeah, so if you see this in stores, don't pass up on it. It's worth the purchase. You know, even if you're unfamiliar with Spawn or you don't even have a Spawn figure in your collection, this is a great figure to start off with. Alright, so let's wrap this up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your likes, comments, and supports. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, go out there, buy lots of toys, and just enjoy your life. Now, there could be no better time to be a toy collector than now, because, I mean, there's just so much out there. So I'll see you at the next video. Take care.